It's not just sex. A car seat headrest analysis, and the only car seat headrest analysis you will ever need. Car Seat Headrest is an American rock band formed by Will Toledo. Toledo started and ran the band by himself, starting in 2010 and releasing many projects primarily on his own before adding more full-time members around 2016. The genre is hard to pin down due to its almost eclectic experimental style. It's likely best termed as indie rock with lots of experimental focus. Toledo's voice, however, serves as the band's trademark. He delivers countless harrowing and heartbreaking performances, singing about topics ranging from gay relationships to his own issues with mental illness. In 2012, and still as a soloist, Toledo released the EP Living While Starving, which was titled Starving While Living on Bandcamp. It held 5 songs and toyed with an experimental, perhaps more technical style to offset the other EP that had been released that year, Monomania. Its first track, It's Only Sex, is the topic of this essay and will be explored and analyzed throughout the course of this video. The song, like many Car Seat Headrest songs, is long. It clocks in at about 4 minutes and 43 seconds. Like the name may or may not suggest to the listener, the song is, in fact, about sex. The title is, by all accounts, contemptuous. It's either pleading with the listener or the author that it truly is only sex. It's surface deep. Unlike what the title may convince you, the song is very much anything but surface deep. The first lyrics illustrate that point beautifully. The other night I cried while thinking of having sex with you. Not out of desire or pain, but some subconscious impulse to feel pain. The song's about sex. Yes, that is impossible to contest, and I highly doubt anybody is arguing, but it is more specifically about the dynamic between depression and sex. The subconscious impulse to feel pain is, if nothing else, the depression symptom. The narrator doesn't feel a natural longing or shame from the thought of having sex with the other party, and when you're depressed, a lack of negative feeling just doesn't feel natural to you. Your brain becomes stuck in its own negative feedback loop, each go-around pushing you further into the crevices of your own brain to the extent that even something that should be pleasurable, like human contact or sex, just solidifies your brain's self-sabotage. Toledo continues, saying, I wiped my tears on my face and neck and the back of my ears and said, now it's sweat, it's sweat now. Despite the often overwhelming misery that comes naturally with being depressed, the other trait that holds its hand is repression. No matter the extent of the pain you feel, the amount of tears you may shed, your immediate instinct as a depressed person is to act like it never happened. The narrator turns his tears into sweat, removes any trait of an emotional outburst, and transforms it instead into a physical manifestation, treating it as if the emotional outburst never existed and had no reason to exist. Clearly, this isn't rooted in reality. No matter how many tears you smear over various parts of your face, you'll never truly be able to erase your emotions, no matter how much you would like that ability. Just to see you, it's such a treasure, but when I feel you, my flesh yields no pleasure. While he has no need to question his love or dedication to his partner, the narrator states that he has a distinct lack of positive feeling attached to his partner touching him. He may feel happiness at the simple act of seeing or being around his partner, but when moved into a more intimate context, his brain short-circuits, removing those same positive feelings. This may have a frustrating impact on the person experiencing it, wondering why their brain has such an issue with physical intimacy, but not the same for emotionally connecting with their partner. And honey, I'm cultured. I'm very sex positive, so what is this feeling? It ain't so positive. The narrator makes it extremely clear here that he is not a prude, nor is he asexual. He has no issue with the concept of sex, no issue with wanting it as an abstract idea. He is no evangelical. It's not about sex before marriage, or modesty. He himself can't figure out what the issue is that makes him so confused and stressed about the action. I can't tell you if I like it, I like it. What happens if I don't like it? I like it. I can't tell you if I like it, I like it. What happens if I don't like it? It's only... Here the narrator further grapples with his frustration around the dynamic between him and his partner. He can't tell the partner if he does enjoy the experience, can't clarify he's having a good time in the moment, but then immediately follows up in the same line, reassuring either the partner or the audience or both that he is enjoying it. He then questions himself, expressing doubt at the act. Well, what happens if he doesn't end up liking it? He does like it, so don't worry about that. But what if he doesn't? He repeats the first line in most of the second, signifying a perpetual cycle of doubt between his two emotions, instead ending his question with reassurance like the first time. With the second verse, he ends with, "It's only," as if dismissing his concern from the idea. It doesn't matter if he doesn't like it, because it's only sex. Okay, so I've been reading all the sex blogs, and they all talk about how okay it is to be gay and straight and bisexual and asexual and have sex however you like, but I don't care about hundreds of hypothetical people and their hypothetical sex deals. I care about me and my sex deal. What about my problems? He brings up the sexual revolution, with countless bloggers making it their jobs and their lives to reiterate to people over and over how okay it is to experience sex however you like. Along with the freshness of the sexual revolution comes the new acceptance of LGBT identities, and by extension, LGBT sexual identities. The internet wants to reassure the narrator that him being LGBT doesn't mean he needs to have sexual insecurity, because, as far as they are concerned, gay sex is A-okay. But our narrator doesn't care about that, because he doesn't care about what everyone else is struggling with when it comes to intimacy. Him being gay doesn't have any impact on his issue, and in this situation, he has no issue accepting that aspect of himself. It isn't the fact that it's gay sex, he tells the bloggers. I don't know what the problem is. Baby, my body constantly betrays me. I try to betray it. I only hurt myself. His body betrays his brain, yet another piece in the pattern of his lack of pleasure from sex. He knows that logically, it is something he should be enjoying. By all accounts, sex is pleasurable, but his body doesn't listen to the logic his brain supplies, betraying his instinct. The second part of the verse is ambiguous. The narrator hurting himself could refer to two different things. The first is very literal, with self-harm. Although depression has been referenced extensively within this song and Car Seat Headrest music in general, I doubt that's what the narrator is talking about here. What I find much more likely is the second option. In this interpretation, the narrator attempts to fight back against his body, continuing to have sex. The sex is not intended as a mechanism to self-harm, but instead a way of trying to pressure your body into enjoying something it doesn't. It's the same concept of trying a food you hate over and over again, expecting that eventually you will like it, except in this case it comes with psychological and potential physical harm, as our narrator states himself. It's only sex. It's only sex. The narrator repeats this like a mantra, working over and over again to convince himself and others that it's only sex. It's just sex. Don't think too hard about it for too deeply, for too long, and you'll be fine. Because it's just sex. Come on, sexual desire, speak. I want to hold you tight. I want to feel your love physically. I want to sleep with you, but only in the literal sense. The narrator pushes down his own sexual urges to have a voice in the song. He wants to hold his partner, and he wants a physical representation of the strong emotional connection he has for this person. He doesn't hesitate about this feeling. He knows what he wants is this physical feeling with his partner. The narrator wants to sleep with his partner, but not in the metaphorical sense typically used in slang. There is no thinly veiled euphemism for sex. He doesn't want that. He only wants to sleep with his partner to express his intimacy in that likely perceived as less intimate form. After this, he repeats the chorus twice more, but making an extremely meaningful change both times. I can't tell you if I like it, I like you. Our narrator is still afraid of uncertainty, especially his uncertainty about sex. Like the previous line in which he reassures his partner he likes it, whether or not this is the truth, he feels the need to tell his partner that his uncertainty about sex is not about them. He likes them. He loves them. This isn't their fault. Even though it may very well be, his lack of pleasure with his partner has a strong potential of being due to a lack of physical connection with them. The conclusion of the song follows this part, with the trademark car seat headrest mythology of repeating lines over and over again. In this case, it's only sex. It's only sex. What makes this part incredibly interesting is what the narrator layers underneath the main dialogue. It's not just sex, he says. His efforts to convince himself that it's not a big deal have failed, and he begins to panic. His voice being faint, combined with how frantic it sounds, delivers an incredibly impressive and emotional performance. The last truly notable line in the song also comes layered underneath the main vocal track. Just think about a beach, he tells himself. Picturing yourself in a calming environment is a very common strategy for those who have anxiety or may be in pain. This is an effort on the narrator's part to calm his nerves, relieve his emotional pain about the act. The song combines every aspect that makes Car Seat Headrest as a band truly amazing. While I am not, and do not claim to be, any expert on instrumental tracks, any person with experience in music can recognize that this backing is fantastic. Toledo's talents as a multi-instrumentalist cannot be understated. The bass line provides such a satisfying beginning and skeleton to the song, with the electric guitar being similarly satisfying while it plays the same part. The electronic and drum components provide such a brilliant sidekick to Toledo's naturally emotional voice. While many people are quick to criticize the rasps and cracks that are found in every Car Seat Headrest vocal track, I resent the idea that any artist owes critics perfection. If Toledo's voice was perfect, it would lack emotion. If it were smooth, the tone would be imperceivable. When writing about imperfect topics like mental health, it almost strikes me as insincere when artists overtune their voice, as if they're trying to distract the listener from really thinking about the topic. Many artists, especially in the pop genre, try and have the best of both worlds. They want to, or at least want to say that they value mental health topics. They want to raise awareness and talk about their own problems. But at the same time, success in that genre relies on palatability, a trait which will only ever serve to stifle creativity. After all, how am I supposed to relate to Taylor Swift or Harry Styles singing about their problems when it is clear how very different we are? Their tone is saturated, smoothed over and perfected by over a dozen top-earning executives. They take tracks and play them in their $250,000 cars. Being positive teenage girls will blast it going 80 on a back road at night, doing everything to ensure that this record will earn their musicians top dollars, making sure it will line their pockets and justify the making of another album. I find myself unable to relate to celebrities talking about their mental health and music when I remember that they are in billion-dollar studios, which they will drive home from in Porsches, unlocking their multi-million-dollar house to walk into their closet the size of my bedroom. To contrast this fact deeply, Will Toledo often recorded his early music in the back of his car, which is what first earned the band the name Car Seat Headrest. Many of his earlier albums, I believe, including this very EP, were recorded with friends in his university's recording studio. There was no old white man calling the shots, working to maintain Toledo's image or palatability. It was his natural draw to music, his work, emotion, blood, sweat, and tears that made this song the beauty that it is. That's what's so great about Car Seat Headrest. It isn't natural. It's far too electronic and experimental to be something natural, like water. But unlike many artists in this day, it is not bland. It is not marketable. Toledo makes broad statements, dismissing everyone else's issues with sex and asking about his problems. He makes no effort to tone down the point of his song. There are no metaphors for sexual behaviors, and in the days of social media censoring and TikTok elite speech, it's refreshing. The song is coming out 11 years old and still feels new, which is exactly the marking of a brilliant artist and a great song. I don't know how to close out this video, so thanks for listening. This is an awesome song and an awesome artist and a great EP that I think a lot of people often forget about. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.